Watch right now on the Front News Project. The SBU is returning Crimea to Ukraine. Powerful strikes on the Russian fleet and aviation. Ships and planes are burning. Thousands of Ukrainian drones are ready to strike Russian military targets. Moscow should get ready. And also the Kremlin is asking North Korea for weapons. Will Kim Jong Un send new cannon fodder to be slaughtered in Ukraine? Fiery, hot and blazing. Watch footage from the front lines right now. Greetings, this is Vladimir Timoshenko with you, and we're starting right away with the main topic. A major catch by the security service of Ukraine in Crimea. 3 large military ships, a military aircraft, an airfield. And that's not all. The occupiers are in a panic. In Sevastapole, civilians are already being armed to defend the peninsula seized by the Russians. More details about the situation in temporarily occupied Crimea coming up in the report.
Russian military infrastructure is falling apart at the seams.
Still, everyone wants to hope that this campaign, the summer campaign of 2026, will finally be the last of the special military operation, because, well, it's really time to end it.
But for now, another painful blow to the Russian war machine.
In fact, this is just the very beginning. So pack your bags and head back to Syzran from our Ukrainian Crimea.
During the operation in occupied Crimea, the Alpha Special Unit of the Security Service of Ukraine carried out a large-scale special operation, striking several key targets at once.
Excellent work and several direct hits at once. I think it's gonna burn for a long time.
The naval base in Sevastopole and the Belbek airfield were targeted. Strategic hubs that ensure Russia's control over the Black Sea. Large landing ships were damaged. The Yamal and Filchenkov, the reconnaissance ship Ivan Kurs, as well as a MiG-31 fighter jet.
And where is the air defense? How could this happen? Why wasn't it protected? All the air defense was taken to Putin in Valdai.
At the same time, the airfield infrastructure was also hit, specifically the technical and operational facilities without which the aviation cannot function properly. In addition, the strikes targeted facilities that provide the eyes and ears of the Russian army. The Black Sea Fleet Training Center, the Radio Intelligence Headquarters, and the radar station.
Every such operation follows a clear logic. We are systematically destroying the key elements of the enemy's military infrastructure. The enemy, the fleet, aviation, intelligence, and air defense. This is not only a direct loss of equipment, but also the destruction of the enemy's ability to control the area, to provide cover for their forces and strategically plan new attacks. This work will continue until Russia completely halts its aggression against our state.
And while Ukrainian attacks are methodically knocking out key elements of the system, another side is becoming increasingly apparent in Crimea itself. Another side is emerging. Panic that can no longer be concealed. In Sevastopol, the occupying authorities have urgently begun seeking protection among the local residents. The so-called governor of the city, Mikhail Razvodjayev, announced the recruitment for a defense unit called Sevastopol.
The Sevastopol unit is recruiting fighters. I appeal to everyone who is ready to defend Sevastopol. Right now the city is being defended, and our unit is standing guard over Sevastopol alongside the air defense forces and the Black Sea Fleet.
In fact, this is an attempt to patch the gaps that can no longer be covered by the much-vaunted air defense or the so-called Great Black Sea Fleet.
According to the extensive analysis conducted both here by our military experts and abroad, it is definitively established and confirmed that in this confrontation in the air, in the battle of drones, but not only drones, the missile component is an absolutely critical and fundamental part of this ongoing strategic struggle.
Now everything has been placed on the shoulders of the ordinary Russian citizen, from fighting drones to guarding facilities and patrolling territories. And the broader this list of tasks becomes, the more obvious the main point is. The Kremlin no longer has enough resources to keep the situation under control.
The further things go, the more Russia is losing the war, while Ukraine is slowly starting to win. And
if not so long ago, the Putin regime tried to convince the world that it had the situation fully under control, today reality is breaking through the propaganda with powerful strikes on Russia's critical and military infrastructure. And with each passing day, these strikes are becoming more widespread and more ruthless.
And now it's time to take a closer look at the operational situation on the intensely active Pokrovsk front line, where extremely fierce battles continue. On the Pokrovsk direction, the aggressor carried out 39 attacks. The occupiers tried to advance in the areas of the settlements of Nikanorivka, Rodinske, Mirnohrad, Novolexandrivka, Hrishin, Kotlina, Udakhna, Muravka, Molodetska, and Filia. 4 enemy attacks are still ongoing. And now another extremely important topic. By launching drones from a distance of a full 1,000 kilometers or from aboard a transport Antonov An-28 aircraft, Ukrainian defense forces are carrying out truly fantastic operations and leaving the enemy army's UAV operators far behind. Let's watch the next segment about the deadly aerial innovations of the Ukrainian armed forces for the occupiers.
The war of robots and drones.
The very latest technologies and our highly unique developments.
This is a forced measure. Our engineers and military personnel are quickly coming up with new solutions because we lack traditional weapon systems.
In Ukraine, the technology of remotely controlled interceptor drones is being systematically scaled up. This solution makes it possible to destroy aerial targets at distances of hundreds and even thousands of kilometers.
There are several reasons for using drones. First, we have limited missile stockpiles and it's expensive to shoot down targets with missiles. That's why it's much more cost-effective to intercept them with drones. And drones can intercept targets far from critical infrastructure at distant approaches.
Ukraine's Minister of Defense Mikhailo Fedorov shared information that more than a dozen manufacturers have already integrated this solution into their own systems.
Ukraine is the first country in the world to systematically scale up remote control of interceptor drones. The pilot is no longer tied to a specific position. The drone is in the sky, but it's controlled from a secure environment in Kyiv, Lviv, or even from abroad. This increases interception efficiency and minimizes risks for operators.
Fedorov also said that now Russian drones can be shot down by interceptor drones from thousands of kilometers away.
You can send an unmanned boat out to sea. Well, for example, near Odessa, right? And shoot down these drones over the sea simply so that they fall into the water.
In addition to being very inexpensive, interceptor drones can effectively perform specific missions that other air defense systems cannot always manage effectively.
Regarding maneuverability, we understand that we can rapidly redeploy our crews in response to the changes in the radar field formed over the territory of Ukraine.
But Ukrainian defenders have gone even further. This is the An-28, a new hunter for Russian Shahed-type attack drones. When paired with interceptor drones, they do something amazing.
They can successfully intercept and neutralize them over uninhabited areas, let's say over open agricultural fields somewhere far from major metropolitan population centers or really any settlements at all. In other words, it's a means of dramatically increasing the mobility of air defense, to put it simply.
An aircraft is a more mobile and much faster means than a ground-based system. This is a new level of short-range air defense.
It is able to detect these drones, and because of this capability, it can, first of all, since it has a large capacity, the vehicle is capable of carrying about 14 passengers. That is, I'm talking about 1.5 tons. It can carry that much useful payload. This means that several dozen of these drones can be carried simultaneously on board.
This project began back in 2025. At that time, an operator from Kyiv shot down a drone over the Chernihiv region. This is a video of the An-28 crew at work. In total, the aircraft can carry 6 interceptors. The new method allows for the destruction of enemy aerial targets by using a drone as an affordable alternative to air-to-air missiles. The Antonov An-28 is a light-duty twin-engine turboprop aircraft developed by Antonov, designed to serve as a passenger or cargo plane for short distances.
It possesses a remarkably high rate of speed, and it features a sufficiently spacious cargo hatch to permit these specialized drones to be deployed and dropped. Besides that, it's generally a comfortable machine to work with. On top of everything else, it is also equipped with machine guns.
The An-28 is also fitted with an optical station for visually searching for enemy targets. Engineers have already successfully tested several other types of interceptor drones as part of a series of training flights.
It is a machine of Ukrainian manufacture, and it is remarkably straightforward to operate and easy to maintain. In terms of its overall operational characteristics, this machine is the most suitable option for our specific needs. Moreover, we can always expand and replenish our existing fleet. This is thanks to Polish aircraft. This specific type of plane, despite being called An, is actually produced in Poland.
This is the pivotal future of air defense, a revolutionary game changer for modern warfare.
We are now moving toward a situation where 100% of Shaheds are shot down specifically by drones, because it's an inexpensive and effective means. As you can see, there is now interest in them both in America and in Middle Eastern countries.
Advanced interceptor drones have truly changed the aerial warfare landscape. Thanks to its significant technological developments, Ukraine is doing everything possible to secure victory in this conflict.
Now, analyzing the operational situation on the front towards Kostyantynivka, Putin's army is acting as expected. In the Kostyantynivka direction, the defense forces repelled 15 enemy assaults toward Kostyantynivka, Pleshchevka, Ilyinovka, Ivanopilia, Oleksandr Shultine, Sofiyivka, Kucheryavi Yar, and Rusin Yar. 3 of these battles are still ongoing. Meanwhile, at the Kiev Security Forum, Kirilo Budanov made a very important statement. What decisions have been made regarding Donbas, and is Ukraine really ready to go for territorial concessions? Spoiler, the answer is obviously no. But Ukrainian drones that are currently striking deep into Russian territory are completely destroying not only the economy of Putin's terrorists, but also the Kremlin should expect surprises from new Ukrainian technologies. More on this in detail. Let's watch.
A decision on Donbas has already been made. And how could there not be a special surprise for the Russians? Kirilo Budanov took part in the Kiev Security Forum and made a number of interesting statements. And
there is no other option. Anything else will simply lead us to disaster.
Ukraine's position regarding red lines remains unchanged. Despite ridiculous official statements and pressure from the Kremlin, territorial concessions are completely out of the question.
The red line is simple. I think everyone understands it. First, we will not recognize anything. That will not happen, no matter who tries. And it simply won't happen. Don't even dream about it.
And the main question, what about the decisions regarding Donbas?
Regarding Donbas, I am sure we will find a solution that, first and foremost, will satisfy us, because this is our land, and no one has the right to bargain over land. That will not happen. On
the one hand, there are clearly defined red lines and the exclusion of territorial concessions. On the other hand, there is a statement that a solution for Donbas will still be found.
Ukraine's position is that this ongoing conflict should be brought to an end along the established line of contact. That is, there are no territorial concessions being discussed at the moment of full control over the territories of Donetsk region. If the head of the office is making such statements, then it means that the position of the Ukrainian side has been communicated to both the American and Russian partners.
And an equally important topic of negotiations. Budanov has stated that the current work in this direction continues, but without any specific details.
We are trying to do our job, and I believe in it. That's all I can tell you. The negotiation process, in any case, all of its more or less sensitive aspects can no longer be publicly disclosed.
But if the process is ongoing just without public statements, what is its current status at the moment?
The recent official statement made by Kirilo Budanov that there are substantial developments regarding the Donbas region, and the distinct possibility of another prisoner exchange indicates that dedicated negotiators are actively working across all subgroups, political matters, economic issues, and military affairs, as well as, accordingly, the humanitarian efforts.
Earlier, the head of the president's office also stated that the negotiation process with Russia would not take much time. After all, everyone understands that the war must end.
We are talking about elements of Russia's military advantage from Ukraine's perspective. The defense forces of Ukraine, the Ukrainian intelligence community, represented by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine and the Special Operations Forces, have dealt a number of significant blows to the Russian economy, specifically to the Russian Federation's ability to replenish its treasury through the sale of oil and petroleum products.
And of course, there's also the technological breakthrough and that very surprise for the Russians.
Everyone has seen the use of Russian models here when they already identify targets themselves, maneuver, and so on. This is the future. We are not lagging behind here. As they say, we have our own developments as well. But these technologies need to be scaled up.
A new stage of the war is now very close, and it's not just drone warfare, but a complete transition to artificial intelligence.
Regarding the scaling up of operations, it came as a major surprise to the Russians that the Ukrainian side has the capability to strike Russian territory using fixed-wing drones. In terms of their sheer numbers, we are talking about strikes that now exceed the overall capabilities of the Russian side in this area.
One separate area key involves strikes on Russian territory. Ukrainian sanctions are not just about weakening Russia's oil economy, which is also suffering quite significant losses.
The overall losses on the Russian side, according to estimates by Russian economists themselves, as a result of Ukrainian UAV strikes on the territory of the occupying country, the losses amount to about $100 billion. And
there is one more thing that is really no less important.
Russia is taking a reputational hit. This is the most important thing. Our oil sanctions, as they say, will eventually come to an end. When the war ends, well, that will happen sooner or later anyway. But the reputational blow will last for a very long time, because Russia's reliability as a supplier is being called into question, as is its reliability, delivering raw materials to the destination country on time. This faces huge problems.
Well, yes, and Putin's own image is also deteriorating, at least among his own citizens. Just look at Donbas, where, according to the authorities, everything is under control.
To be honest, it is absolutely brutal.
Ukraine continues to live and fight, not halting its development, but only improving and modernizing its defense capabilities and technologies. But at the same time, some things remain unchanged, such as the red lines and Kiev's positions, despite manipulations from the Kremlin.
And now we move to the Alexandrovsk direction of the front. The Russian world continues to destroy here as well, to kill and maim. In the Alexandrovsk direction, the occupiers tried 6 times to improve their position by attacking toward the settlements of Alexandrovgrad, Khorosha, Kalinovskaya, and Zlagoda. And here is another important thing to consider. The current Russian Minister of Defense, or rather the Minister of Murders, Andrei Belousov, engaged in high-level diplomatic talks with the supreme leader of North Korea, Kim Jong Un. Belousov formally stated that Russia is fully ready to sign the so-called plan for military cooperation between the two countries before the end of this current calendar year, for the period from 2027 to 2031. What exactly lies behind this complex phrasing? And what potential risks and dangers does it pose for Ukraine? We'll tell you right now.
Belousov arrived to pay homage to Kim Jong Un. Russia and North Korea are strengthening their relations. This is the second Russian official to visit the capital of North Korea in recent days. The day before, the chairman of the Russian State Duma, Vyacheslav Volodin, arrived in North Korea. President Putin's official envoys arrived in North Korea for a solemn ceremony marking the completion of new memorials, honoring the North Korean soldiers who died in the Kursk region. In addition to the demonstrative speeches about the great friendship between the peoples, Belousov stated that he had reached agreements with North Korean officials. This discussion is about establishing military cooperation on a highly stable, long-term basis, and the formal signing of a comprehensive partnership plan for the period from 2027 to 2031.
These are attempts to expand military technical cooperation with North Korea and preserve the so-called axis of evil. After the events in the Persian Gulf, the possibility arose. Supplies for the needs of the Russian Federation's military-industrial complex from Iran were reduced to zero. Therefore, accordingly, North Korea is considered a strategic military-political partner of the Russian Federation.
North Korea is the single most influential supporter of Russia's war against Ukraine. Kim Jong Un explicitly stated that his country will continue to support Russia's policy and discussed further strengthening military ties with Moscow, according to Reuters.
Direct financing of North Korea's military-industrial complex. An order from the Russian Federation for the production of the same artillery shells, deliveries of North Korean-made multiple rocket launch systems, and a number of other goods for military technical purposes. For North Korea, this represents a significant opportunity to bolster its national treasury and gain invaluable first-hand combat experience within the conditions of modern warfare.
Moscow secured military support from Pyongyang when it realized it would not be able to defeat Ukraine. In 2024, both of these nations formally signed a treaty on comprehensive strategic partnership, which specifically included a provision on mutual defense. Since then, North Korea has sent about 14,000 military personnel to participate in combat operations on the side of Russian forces, near Kursk.
This is accordingly about acquiring real combat experience. That's the first point. The second point is, accordingly, the introduction of advanced technologies, specifically the use of drones and drone droppers. This is something the North Korean army did not have until very recently. At the moment, according to the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, on the territory of the Russian Federation, the presence of between 8,000 and 10,000 North Korean military personnel has been recorded according to various estimates.
North Korea is also supplying Moscow with electronics and technologies for the production of missiles, drones, and tanks, as well as artillery shells. In return, the Kremlin shares technologies with them that allow them to develop their missile and nuclear programs.
The deliveries are primarily of KN-23 missiles, which are analogous to the Russian Iskander, as well as an expansion of military technical cooperation in terms of supplying shells. Plus, accordingly, deliveries of strike weapons. The South Korean side is currently anticipating a significant expansion in economic assistance from the Russian Federation.
Let us recall that last week, Russia and North Korea completed the construction of a road bridge over the Tumen River. It will become operational in June of this year. Previously, there were only rail connections and passenger flights between the two countries.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Well then, now it's time to move to the southern Slobozhansk direction of the front. And let's be honest, this is yet another sacred goal for Putin and his entire gang. Accordingly, the situation here is extremely tense. In the southern Slobozhansk direction, the aggressor launched 4 assaults on the positions of Ukrainian units towards populated areas: Staritsia, Lyman, Okrymivka, and Zemlyanki. One of the assault operations is currently still ongoing. And here is another very revealing detail to consider. The Russian African Corps, essentially the infamous Wagner PMC, is now suffering one of its most significant defeats in Mali. According to some reports, the Russians are being forced to retreat from the city of Kidal, which has been almost completely captured by Islamists. This is once the unofficial capital city of the Tuareg, which the current authorities of the country successfully took control of with the support of Russian mercenaries in the year 2023. Right now, let's take a closer look at this topic.
Russia is facing failure in Africa, including in Mali. Just the day before this event, intense fighting erupted once more in the northern city of Kidal between Tuareg rebels, jihadists, and official government military forces, who are currently being supported by Russian mercenaries from the African Corps of the Russian Ministry of Defense.
This morning, fighting resumed in Kidal. We want to drive out the last Russian militants who are hiding in the camp, said Mohammed Ramadan, a representative of the Tuareg rebels.
On the Telegram channel of the African Corps, they reported, for their part, that the joint attack by the rebels, the Tuaregs from the People's Front, but the liberation of Zawada, and militants from the Jama'at Nasr al-Islam wal Muslimin group. It began on Saturday at around 5:30. About 10 to 12,000 people took part in the attack. The Ministry of Defense structure accused Western and Ukrainian intelligence services of training militants to attack government troops and Russian mercenaries.
The Russian side presents this as an operation of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, specifically in the training of UAV operators, as well as in the planning and execution of offensive operations by opposition representatives. Moreover, the reduction of the Russian Federation's military presence on the African continent primarily serves the political interests of our country. To deny the possibility of actions by Ukrainian intelligence services, specifically the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense, conducting combat operations on the African continent, in my opinion, there is not the slightest reason to do so.
The African Corps estimated the losses of the militants at more than 1,000 terrorists. Regarding their own losses, they only reported that there were wounded.
Any official admission of defeat is extremely dangerous for the Russian Federation.
The African Corps claims that the jihadists tried to seize the presidential palace in the capital of Mali, Bamako, and attacked major cities: Gao, Kidal, Kati, and Sevare.
Thanks to the courage and heroism of the servicemen of the African Corps of the Russian Armed Forces, it was possible to prevent a Syrian scenario in Mali.
Russian media filmed reports from the city of Kati, where they presented it in their favor. We
are in Kati, on one of the streets where the fighting took place. There are ruined and destroyed houses there.
Those dangerous terrorists, they actually arrived right here, on a small, fast-moving motorcycle. But they had a live bomb.
But now the situation has stabilized and people are calmly dealing with the aftermath. If there are any militants left, they have been pushed further away from the city, and now the military is carrying out a sweep operation.
However, in reality, this is one of the largest coordinated attacks by Islamists and Tuaregs in recent years. The Tuaregs reported the capture of the city of Kidal. The French TV channel France 24, citing AFP, reported that in Mali, the Tuaregs are together with the jihadists. An agreement was reached on the withdrawal of Russian mercenaries from the African Corps of the Russian Ministry of Defense from the base in the city of Kidal. Videos have appeared online showing Russian military equipment leaving without a fight, passing by jubilant Islamists. About the withdrawal of personnel and equipment of the African Corps of the Russian Ministry of Defense was reported by several Russian Telegram channels. However, the channel Rybar, affiliated with the Russian Ministry of Defense, denied the withdrawal of Russian mercenaries from Kidal, calling it the evacuation of the wounded.
This is already an established tactic of the Russian Federation, refusing to comment on military defeats.
The day before, these shots appeared online showing a helicopter shot down near the city of Gao, which it is claimed belonged to the coalition of the Malian military junta forces and mercenaries from the African Corps of the Russian Ministry of Defense. Ilya Tumanov, a Z-blogger close to the Russian aerospace forces, also known as fighter bomber, stated that a Russian helicopter was lost in Africa. The crew was killed. The French outlet Le Figaro, citing a source, reports that in Mali, in the city of Kati, 15 kilometers from the capital Bamako, Defense Minister Sadio Kamara and several members of his family were killed. Kamara was a key ally of Russia. As international agencies explain, the main military base of the junta is located in Kati. The death of the defense minister was also officially confirmed by Mali's own military government.
This exact location right here is exactly where our minister's official house is situated. In the immediate aftermath of the military coup that took place,
since 2021, Mali has been ruled by a military-led government junta, headed by the transitional interim president Colonel Assimi Goïta. In
Mali is currently governed by a military-led junta, which is in fact now officially integrated into the Russian Federation.
Control was maintained via Wagner PMC, later replaced after Prigozhin's mutiny by the African Corps of the Russian MOD.
The fact is, this country is rich in gold. It should be noted that Mali, in fact, currently holds the position of the third largest country in terms of gold mining and sales on the African continent. It is also worth noting that Mali is a nation with a vast total land area of approximately 1.2 million square kilometers. That is, it is one of the largest countries on the African continent. And besides gold, there are also a number of other mineral resources, control over which is extremely important for the Russian Federation. These include gas and oil and...
The Tuareg stronghold, Kidal, was retaken by Wagner mercenaries in late 2023. It is a town of 15,000 in North Mali. It had been a stronghold of the Tuareg separatists for more than 9 years.
Up until the year 1960, Mali was a colony under French rule. And accordingly, the presence of the Russian side in the region is perceived by the French as a significant reduction of their economic and political influence across the entire African continent. Therefore, I do not rule out that the actions of the Tuaregs are backed by the intelligence services of France and a number of other world powers who view the African continent as a zone of their strategic interest.
According to reports from global agencies and regional publications, things became quiet in Kati on Sunday, and the shooting stopped. In Gao, according to some reports, there is also a lull. AFP reports that the rebels have taken up positions on the outskirts of the city. Meanwhile, there were reports of ongoing shootouts coming from Sevastapole.
That's all for today, but very soon on Front News, there will be new, unique materials from our journalists reporting from the hottest war zones, obtained so that you know the truth. This was Vladimir Timoshenko with you. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones.